So here we go with one of the latest perversions of the United States of America. This is a country of progress, but unfortunately now we're going backwards because of leftist douchebags. And ironically, it starts with a warning that it's going to trigger white people, but white leftists agree with everything that's in this video. So this isn't about white people at all. This is about leftist douchebags versus everybody else. This has nothing to do with race, and we'll get into that more later. But what's interesting is the comments are turned off. So nothing like showing you're a coward that can't back up your own opinions or your own work than turning off the comments. But for this video, the comments will not be turned off. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So before I start, just a warning for this video may trigger leftist douchebags. So let me just put out that warning right there.
I think what annoys me most about white people is when they pretend like they're the victim.
So I have no idea who this is, who she's talking about. Maybe this is a bad person, I don't know. But isn't it easy just to take one person of a particular race who's bad and say, oh, look, all people are like that? I mean, is that really any kind of an argument? Can I say, oh, look at Bill Cosby. He represents all black men. I mean, it's a real crappy thing to do, isn't it? And it seems to be the tactic that they're using here. So right off the bat, no integrity and just ridiculous smears.
What's also annoying is when they kill us.
Oh, brother, so here we go, when they kill us. A bad year for white police officers shooting unarmed black men was 2015 under Obama. Since then, the trend has gone down. And when you look at how many a year, it's not that many. And just because somebody's not as unarmed doesn't mean they're not a threat where that kind of force is warranted. But there's no epidemic going on of white police officers shooting black people. The epidemic that is going on is criminals, a lot of black criminals getting out of prison, and murder rates in black communities going up. Black people dying, black people getting shot, especially kids. That's the pandemic that's going on right now. And the reason why it's going on is because of the war on cops, the war on the countries, from douchebags like that. So that douchebag, that female brain-dead douchebag, is responsible for killing black people. Her and the idiots that think like her.
What is fragile about whiteness when everything has been constructed around it?
Nothing. Everything has been just constructed about whiteness is so stupid. It's such a ridiculous thing to say. So when you go to a traffic stop, red, yellow, green, oh, that was constructed, that was based off of white supremacy. I mean, what a dumb thing to say, that everything is based on race. Like when building anything, building skyscrapers, building the Constitution from different sources, that everything had to do about being white. What about being practical? What about the governing republic that this country is? And what made it into that philosophy? To say that everything is about race, you gotta be a special kind of stupid to believe that.
Every part of who I am has been distorted or criminalized.
Oh, that person, I can't even remember her name, but this is not a good person, and she's not a good representative of women, and she's not a good representative of Muslims. But for leftist ideology, it doesn't matter. It's not about race. It's not about religion. It's about the ideology, and you better be a leftist, and you better step in line. Otherwise, you'll be smeared. This has nothing to do with race.
It's really just a bunch of white lies.
Who's this douchebag? Who cares what it is?
You're not patriots. You're ridiculous.
January 6th was about people who thought the election was stolen. It should have never happened. When you lose in the courts, you lose, that's it. Trump should have given it up. Should have never been an event there. Should have never been a rally. But now we have evidence that FBI agents were encouraging people to storm the Capitol and set up this whole thing. So there's a lot of investigation that should be done. It looks like there's evidence that this was set up. And they're certainly overplaying the how much damage was done. Remember when we were told that an officer was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher? That was news. That was reported, that the protesters killed a police officer. Then we found out that never happened. So this has been so overblown. And then here we go again. But how is this a white thing? Because I'm white. I don't believe that should have ever happened. When you lose in the courts, you lose the election. It's over.
One of the definitions of American whiteness is ignorance.
Okay, and what about all the ignorance going on with leftism? And so they show a handful, how many people are they talking about that go around with the symbolism? And then, of course, they show Donald Trump saying, oh, they're the same. Yeah, so let's talk about ignorance.
White people, we are not your problem. You are.
Should white people today feel any responsibility for slavery?
Hell yeah.
What a loser. I mean, how can a grown-ass man say something like that? A grown-ass man thinking he's entitled to something he never went through. I'm in my 50s. I grew up in Chicago. I never went through segregation. This guy doesn't look that old. What has he actually gone through? It's like Candace Owens says, these people are entitled United States citizens that haven't gone through anything.
Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You utilize their history, and you come in here with more emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. More emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. It's embarrassing. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged Americans. It's what's going on right now.
And he's looking for some kind of handout. So pathetic. And most white people don't have ancestors that were slave owners, just like most black people don't have ancestors that were slaves. Most of migration of black people happened after slavery ended. Barack Obama did not have ancestors that were slaves. So why are we still talking about it? When I went to high school in the 80s, this wasn't a big deal because it was so long ago. This wasn't something we were obsessed with. So to see that hyper obsession now in our society, this is orchestrated. It is meant to divide us. And all the people that are participating in this, they're just useful idiots for social Marxism. That's what this is about. And a grown-ass man wanting some kind of handout for something he had nothing to do with? What a pathetic loser.
I'm telling you right now, don't come up to me and tell me you feel sorry for me. I don't need your sympathy. Don't come up to me and try to reason with me and say you have sympathy for me or you're showing empathy towards me because my ancestors were slaves. Well, look, let me tell you this. I had no association. I have no association with slavery. I wasn't even alive during the civil rights movement. I have only been alive when black and white people can go to school together. Since I've been alive, black and white people play football together. Black and white people shop together. They live together. They marry each other. Since I've been alive, black and white people in America don't have issues. Don't have huge issues. Now, when you look at isolated situations, yeah, man, it's never going to happen. Inevitably, people are going to be crazy. People are going to hate each other. People are going to not like other people because of their race, the color of their hair, their eyes. If they didn't get a manicure, pedicure today, people are going to be mad at you. There's a full spectrum of hatred that comes along with being human beings. But does that mean that we live in the 50s? Does that mean that we live in the 40s? Does that mean that we live, 500 years ago? It doesn't mean that.
White Jesus or black Jesus?
Jesus was not white. Think of geography. Ain't no way Jesus walked around with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Okay, that I agree with. Jesus was not white. And yeah, a lot of portrayals of him, he looks like he was from Sweden. No, that wouldn't be the case. But then again, I'm an atheist, so I believe that Jesus was a fictional character, and however you want to portray him, and yes, the way these are portrayed typically are from the ruling class. When the Mongols ruled the world, Genghis Khan, you can see portraits of the Prophet Muhammad where he looks Asian. So that's just the way things were constructed. But this depiction of Jesus being white has obviously gone on for hundreds of years. How is that relevant now? And who cares?
White culture fears the end of the world. For us as Native people, the end of the world already happened, like
Well, if the end of the world happened, how are you still here talking about it?
multiple times.
Symbols and monuments, these are mementos of racism.
Bring that statue down. Put up a TCBY yogurt or something everybody can get behind.
Well, no, a lot of these monuments, it's really weird. So the North won over the South, right? Lincoln won, we ended slavery. But then after that, during the history, we started putting up these monuments to Confederate soldiers. Never made any sense. So you know what? Taking them down, I actually agree with. They shouldn't have been put up to begin with.
Told about history.
Now this right here is a lie. From the people of color point of view, like they're speaking for all people of color. They're not. They're speaking for leftists, and they're not speaking any differently than the white leftists. Think about the white leftists. They don't disagree with anything that's been presented in this video. So this isn't about race. This is about brain-dead leftists being useful idiots for social Marxism. That's all this is about.
We have to make sure that these stories are told from our perspective.
From a leftist perspective.
There's always hope. You know what I'm saying? We don't give up.
It's about obliterating systemic and institutionalized racism.
Oh yeah, define that. Institutional, the whole structure, everything. What this is Marxism and saying we have to destroy the whole country because the whole country was based on slavery, which is a lie. The 1619 Project is a joke. This country began in 1776 by a bunch of white guys that killed a bunch of white guys. Pretty sure the British were white, and not only white, but just as well armed, if not more so, than they were. So the founding of this country was off of killing white people.
This is a wild place, y'all. It's a wild place.
Yeah, not really. It's just kind of a brain dead place.
I know Harriet and Frederick be up there just like, what is they gonna do?
All right, that's it. That's my review. Please share your thoughts. But this is just a continuous perversion of this country. This is a nation of progress. And when people say this country is racist, compared to when and compared to who? Compared to 50 years ago, 100 years ago, compared to China, compared to Mexico, South America, Europe, Africa. Where are you comparing us to? Please show me this magical place where racism doesn't exist or there's no ugly parts of history. This is all bullcrap. Let's focus on the progress because, man, there's been an amazing amount of progress. Think about gay marriage. Think about the difference in opinions regarding gay marriage. I mean, 50 years ago, it could have never happened. Most of the public was against it, and now we accept it, and now gay people can be married. That was tremendous progress that you never hear about. You never hear people talking about. Same thing with white people and black people. It used to be that you couldn't intermarry. Now that's absolutely normal for intermarriage between races. And now, of course, we have so many people of mixed race. So the truth is, this country is the least amount racist that it's ever been. We've made a huge amount of progress. But unfortunately, because of people like this hyper focus on race to divide us, hyper focus, I would say, was orchestrated by the elites. So we start talking about wealth and equality and instead fight each other on race. And of course, these elites are so easily able to manipulate these leftist, brain-dead leftist idiots. It's disgusting what's happened to this country, and it's disgusting how successful this demoralization campaign by Marxists has been. It just shows actually kind of how pathetic and weak our country was, and hopefully we're turning things around, and hopefully we can get our country back, and we can fight against real ignorance like we just saw with this. Anyway, that's my video. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Cisco, do we have to leave all our good friends now? Only until next time, Pancho. Adios, amigos.